Hello and welcome. This is the Market Wrap. I'm Agam Vakil. It's turned out to be a rather strong session of trade with the benchmark indices advancing and the Nifty moving back above the mark of 11,000. So that's the big positive in today's day of trade. And moreover, we have a rally of 176 points on the Nifty. So let's take a look at all the stocks which are actually, well, keeping the Nifty in the indices buoyant. We have HCL Technologies ending the day with gains of 6.5%. So, well, for now, all investors are brushing aside whatever concerns there are when it comes to margins and concentrating on the revenues which are higher than expectations. But we're going to talk about that in just a bit. We have Tata Motors, GSW Steel, Mahindra & Mahindra, Reliance Industries is a big heavyweight out there, well, giving that support to the markets. Bajaj Auto, BPCL and Hero MotoCorp all advancing in trade. On the losing end, we don't have too much, just 5 stocks out there which lost out, and only 3 of them by over 2.5%. We can talk about Ultratech Cement as well in just a bit, as we will for Tata Steel as well. The broader markets, 2 gainers for 1 loser. IFB Industries along with Aurobindo Pharma, Indiabulls Real Estate, GT&D all advancing in trade, all gaining over 7%. On the losing end, it's a lower circuit for Endurance Technology, a 20% one. And of course, some usual ADA companies were on the list in terms of losers. Cummins India, of course, under pressure, and of course, Lemon Tree Hotels also continues to slide on the back of the kind of trends that we are witnessing. But on that note, let me get in our markets editor Neeraj Shah for his thoughts here. Neeraj, a rather strong day. Would you consider this a recovery?
Yeah, well, entirely, Agam. The question mark only is, can it last? Now, why did it happen? Well, I think at a couple of portals, I mean, the Economic Times, remember, 2 days before had reported that the government might consider the rollback of the FBI surcharge as early as this week. Now, I think today one of the news channels said that it's not just that, but maybe a couple of other factors, including some tinkering with LTCG or whatever it is. Now, if indeed, I mean, the point is, there is a wide reportage of 4 or 5 things that the ministry is thinking of. We don't know whether thinking of means it will actually result in an action. But even if 1 or 2 of those happen, it probably means that the government is cognizant of the fact that the equity markets are in pain and some measures are being taken. So for a deeply oversold market, this is a great balm. And therefore, yes, one could argue that the rally today is warranted. It may well continue for the next maybe a day or 2, because remember, as we shut our shop for Indian equity markets, Europe and the US markets were trading very well, reasonably well. So the globe is not an unhappy place, and if indeed the market takes cues from these levels going ahead, then tomorrow could well be a decent day as well. No reason for it not to be. Let's see what happens between now and tomorrow morning in terms of how many other portals, how many other websites, wire agencies, etc. Try and figure out what's happening in the minds of the Finmin and what could be the possibilities, because I think that's frankly the only thing that right now matters to the market. Right.
Well, fair enough, Neeraj. Thanks for that perspective there. Well, and of course, we've seen that big cut come through as well yesterday. So several other factors to watch out for. And on that note, let's talk about a few stocks. And right at the top, we have possibly 2 stocks which ended the day with losses. And let me talk about those stocks. So we have Ultratech Cement as well as Tata Steel. But I'm going to begin by talking about HCL Technologies. We did see that very sharp up move there of around 6.5%. And of course, this is largely on account of the earnings that we've seen. So we do have HCL Technologies beat street expectations on the top line. A lot of analysts were of the opinion that this is because of a lot of these large deals which are front-ended, and because of which we've actually seen some advances come through. Of course, there were some concerns with respect to margins, and they've contracted, and in the second quarter we're expecting some wage hikes to come through. But given the fact that the company has maintained their guidance is also a positive, which means that the second half of this financial year could be a lot stronger, not only for margins but also for revenues, and that's possibly helping HCL Technologies. Don't forget, HCL Technologies is one of the cheapest stocks in not just the large caps but also among the mid caps, with a market cap of over 4,000 crore rupees. So that's a pretty big sample size, and HCL Technologies was somewhere at the bottom. So it's, I reckon, to a certain extent, it's the valuation catch up as well, which may very well be in play for the company. But that said, as I was suggesting, there are 2 other stocks that we want to talk about. Right at the top, we have Ultratech Cement. We have Nikki Mirchandani, who's joining us to take us through the same. Nikki?
I'm not going to rattle numbers this time around. I'm just going to tell you the fact that it's the volume disappointment which has essentially weighed on Ultratech Cement. The growth came in at 2%. We were working with an estimates of 8%. Operationally, however, if you look at the performance, it's a beat coming in on that counter. We saw efficiency across. We saw diesel prices going down. We saw logistic cost being down. We saw the other expenses as a bit that also moved in the favor of the company. Net, we saw a mixed set of numbers coming in for Ultratech Cement, but clearly that counter took a beating on account of the kind of volume growth that the company delivered. Agam, if I could just address the second bit, which is Tata Steel here. The stock is down and out by as much as 3.8%. Early in the trade, the share prices rather, were around that December 2016 levels, and the profit also were around that quarter December 2016 odd levels. So key things continue for Tata Steel. Indian operation continues to be well. European operations continues to be a drag. What has been bothering the market has been the debt level. The company in the con call suggested that it's sticking to the guidance. It's going to be doing its bit. It's going to be cutting out the capital requirement. It's going to be working on the cost efficiency measures. It's going to be boosting the cash flows. Street doesn't seem to be taking a hard of this development. Brokerages across Agam, they have maintained the rating, but they've slashed the target price for the counter. In fact, if you look at the analyst rating that Bloomberg suggests, you have 20 out of 30 analysts which suggest a potential buy for Tata Steel and a potential upside, potential downside of more than 30% on this counter.
Okay, fair enough. Nikki, thanks for joining us and getting us those details on Ultratech Cement as well as Tata Steel. We watch out for that. And of course, a whole host of other earnings which we're also expecting this week. And on that note, it's a wrap on the markets. But there's lots more lineup. Stay tuned to Bloomberg Quint.